Okay, Representative Horton, the board is clear. You have a right to close on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee. This bill, which I did write, is is strictly about what goes on and what is allowed in a classroom during classroom instructional time. Nothing in this bill states that there's anything other than the teacher staying on topic. This is about the children in the classroom during instructional time, and the parents being assured that that's the state standard is what's going to be taught. Nothing in this bill prevents any student from expressing themselves in any way outside of the classroom at all. And if they have a question they want to ask their educators, then they can do so. And the educator must keep the subject, the conversation back on the subject at hand. If a student wants to go and talk to a teacher after class or go to see their counselor or school nurse have issues, of course they can. This is about the teacher teaching the standard when the bell rings and when the bell rings again when the classroom's over. This is about classroom instructional time. It's not about anything other than that. This bill there's nothing to do with a teacher's lifestyle choice, who they live with, who they're married to. This is about staying on topic when you're in a classroom. If the state standard teaches history and everything that has to do with that, that is the state standard. That is staying on topic. Whatever that entails, you're on topic. It has nothing to do with women's suffrage. My goodness, that is history. That's what you teach. You teach the facts, and our state standards have benchmarks, and they're all listed. But nowhere in the standards does it say it's okay for a teacher to come out to a third grade class. Nowhere is it okay to teach a kindergartner about what I did or what I didn't do during classroom instructional time. So please just keep it all in the contents of this bill. And our superintendents and our school boards need cover. They need a law to be able to form a policy around. That's why I brought it. I appreciate your favorable passage.
Okay, Representative Hilferty.
I just had a quick, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I spoke to Rep. Horton, and I think to your point about sticking with, we spend a lot of time, money, and resources on creating our standards, which informs the local curriculum that is set by each school board. And something saying that classroom discussion must stick to the curriculum, which is informed by the standards, which any parent in the state can review.
Correct.
I think that is something, there are any number of topics that a teacher probably shouldn't have with students, and it's going to relate to all manner of things, and what they did on the weekends or this or that, and we do have limited instructional time with our students. Right. And we have so much to cover, aside from learning loss that has occurred, but just keeping our students on track. Is something that broadly stated that instructional time is meant to stick to the curriculum, which is informed by the standards, I think is something that'll I would support, right, that we stay. And if it goes off topic, which is, we know kids ask,
of course,
questions, but it veers back in a manner, and I think our local education authorities have the ability to enforce that, and to say, okay, you got back on track on this discussion. So I think something along those lines, where you're sticking with the curriculum, which is informed by the standards, which any parent can review and feel comfortable with and know what their child's learning. That's something that I think you and I agree on.
Correct. I do agree with you on that. And if you'd like to work on something like that between here and the floor, I would. It just, because again, this is about the child and the parents having the right to be assured that when their child is in the classroom that they're being taught the standard, not anything other than that during classroom instructional time. And so I appreciate that.
Okay.
And maybe that's something, a discussion we can have further, or maybe an
Correct.
HCR or something of that nature.
Okay, Representative Vice Chair Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I understand what you're saying, but we just have the instrument in front of us
Sure.
at present. So my question to you is, are you going to work with Representative Hilferty to do an HCR or what have you, or are you looking to advance what we have in front of us? Because I think what you said, and you said it very eloquently, regarding the standards that Bessie just went through ad nauseum. And I mean painstaking, you know, and they put things in there and they took things out, and then they put some things in there, and then still everyone's not completely happy, but they've done yeoman's work as far as the standards that we have.
Yes, sir.
And the standards, as you heard today from a member on her own behalf, indicate that we would have to teach certain things that contravene what we're looking at in this instrument. So how do you
I
reconcile
don't think
that?
it does contradict what's in this instrument. This instrument just strictly says you teach the standard, whatever the standard is.
No, it doesn't, Representative. I beg to, with all due respect, my good friend from North Louisiana.
If I need to amend it to where it's more direct, I certainly will.
Okay.
I definitely need to do that. I've listened, and I believe that's true. If you want to offer that up, I appreciate that.
Well, again, we've often said about on the fly. I think it probably
that's-
needs a little more work, you know, to get to that point, because the standards are so expansive, you know, because of what has been done. I don't know if we can say just be, you know, if you just say, if you
Well,
brought up, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, sir. I've read the state standards for even for sexual education and in 7th and 8th grade, and I don't see these topics really mentioned in there.
Well,
But
excellent
again-
illustration earlier about lesbianism. It is in there. They're absolutely correct. I mean, you know, so again, with what we have,
Teaching the standards, whatever it's age appropriate, and that's age appropriate standard. So, if somehow this bill got out, I definitely would amend it to include that language.
well, my query to you is, why not continue the conversation to get something so that we can make the presentation? Because I think we're kind of saying we're going to stick to the standards, whatever the standards are.
Sure.
And we're not
Right.
extracting, you know, sexual orientation, because I think some of the opponents made excellent points. You have to include heterosexuality as well, you know, when you're looking at it.
Of
But you
course
stick
you
to
do.
you stick to the standards. And the standards, if it's dealing with women's suffrage and all that was involved
That's
with
the
that.
classroom discussion that is designed to take place.
Okay. I was just trying to get some clarity. Thank you so much,
Appreciate it,
Representative
sir.
Harden. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Amity.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe I may have a suggestion that would help with the clarity we're looking for, and I'll mention it to Rep. Horton. I don't know that it's something, Mr. Chair, that you would want to entertain as an amendment on the fly, but it is very simple, and let me explain. Your first amendment took care of clarifying that this is for classroom discussion, and it defined classroom discussion. Based on the conversation that we were just having here, it could be as simple as amending the sentence in Part A. Right now the sentence says, "No teacher, school employee, or other presenter shall cover the topics of sexual orientation or gender identity in any classroom discussion or instruction in kindergarten through 8th grade." It could simply be an addition of a few words that say beyond what is included in the state curriculum standards. Could be something that simple,
Right.
and I'll just suggest that, and if the chairman is willing, I'm happy to offer it as an amendment if you would accept it. If not, I'm happy to work with you
Absolutely.
between here and the floor.
Absolutely, I think that's wise.
Hang on, Representative Brass. I'll get right back to you.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. I'm going to add Representative Brass.
Thank you, Representative Amity.
I guess my concern with that amendment would be, to whose discretion? I mean, it goes back to some conversation and during the question and answering piece as far as enforcement, but to whose discretion is it going to be in violation or in compliance with per what's included within the curriculum?
It's,
which is ultimately my biggest concern. How do we enforce this, and how a teacher is going to be held accountable as far as them being able to say that it didn't occur?
well, no. I mean, I believe that most of our educators are rule followers, and I don't believe they'd have an issue with it. Most of them don't now, and I just feel that, and I appreciate Representative Albany. I think that is true. I think it needs to be reined in and to say exactly what the intent is, and is to teach the standard, the approved curriculum that the school boards have adopted, that are age appropriate, and so that's my goal.
Representative Brass, let's get back on the amendment. Are you offering that amendment?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to allow it because it's just adding words to an existing paragraph. And Ms. Lavello, will you hit on the amendment?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. Ms. Amade, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe on page 1, line 11, between the word 8 and the period, we would be inserting beyond what is provided in the state content standards. So it is not reduced to writing. This is only in concept.
Okay, we do have a question on the amendment. Representative Hilferty.
Thank you, Chair. I guess my point is that sexual orientation and gender identity, there are classroom discussions that are inappropriate beyond there are classroom discussions on all sorts of topics that don't go back to our standards. So I don't know that we need to specify. I guess what I'm envisioning is something saying that classroom discussion is based upon the curriculum, which is informed by the standards, and just a general topic in that nature. That is more along the lines of what I was thinking for this.
Okay, one other question on the amendment. Vice Chairman Jefferson.
Kind of in line with what was just uttered. It's just confusing. That's why I was saying to do it on the fly. I think it needs a little more work and what have you.
So let's do this. She's offered the amendment. Let's vote on it. If you don't like it, vote against it. Excuse me? Yes. Ms. Lavello?
So if the amendment were adopted, members, lines 9 through 11 would read, no teacher, school employee, or other presenter shall cover the topics of sexual orientation or gender identity in any classroom discussion or instruction in kindergarten through grade 8 beyond what is provided in the state content standards.
Question.
Okay.
I got a question before the substitute.
Okay. Your question.
What do we do with B?
That's not my amendment.
Yeah,
I mean,
but that's the point. I think Representative Hilferty was saying, you go.
These different altogether.
Okay.
okay. Thank you. Representative Brass, you have a substitute motion to the.
That's what Representative Hilferty may be striking out, and I'm not sure the exact wording, but striking out sexual orientation and gender identity and including some wording that says anything outside of the curriculum per Department of Ed.
Yeah. Look, let's do. We're getting into something that it is very detailed, and I don't think it's appropriate at this time. We do have a 24-hour rule on amendments. The amendment that she offered was fairly simple. So, as chairman, we're going to vote on that amendment.
Just simply striking out 4 words.
Okay. Re-explain it, Mr. Brad. Let's do this. We're going to have to dispose of this amendment as she has it, and then we can offer another amendment and add it to it.
I'm offering a substitute motion.
A substitute motion. Okay. Very good. Thank you for reminding me of that. Don't confuse the chairman. I hadn't had lunch yet. So we have a substitute. Okay. Representative Brass. I'm being told that the order it is, she's got an amendment. And so if someone objects to that amendment, then it will be appropriate. It will, and we do an up or down, then we'll come back with your amendment. Is that okay? Okay. We have an amendment on the floor, excuse me, in the committee, by Representative Amity. And those in favor, is there any objection, first of all? There is an objection by Representative Jefferson. There is an objection, so we're going to take a roll call vote on this amendment. Madam Secretary, yes would be adding the amendment to the bill, a no would not be adding the amendment. Madam Secretary?
Representative Amade votes yes. Representative Brass votes no. Representative Freeman? No. Representative Emerson? Yes. Representative Freiberg? Yes. Representative Hilferty? Yes. Representative Vice Chairman Jefferson? No. Representative Owen? Yes. Representative Phelps? No. Representative St. Blanc? Yes. Representative Tarver? Yes. Chairman Harris?
Yes.
Yes. Passes 8-4.
Okay, that amendment has been added. Okay, back on the bill or any other motions? You good? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say for the record that we spent 2 hours here listening to a bill of which Rep. Horton explained herself at the very beginning. And now everyone is here offering amendments to change her bill. I'm offended by that, and the people that are here that came to testify to what was on paper and what she so many times with her supporters explained the bill. I think that's unfair of what you're saying, contradictory to what we always do here, as when you just related to.
Well, let me first of all tell you that is the process. And when you're in committee, you can add amendments. That is the process. So we have followed the process. It's a matter of tradition, and it's a matter of the rules of this committee and the rules of the House. Any member that sits on this committee can add an amendment. So it's not being unfair to anyone. This amendment came out of discussions amongst members of this, and it was offered, and it was added to the bill. Now we're going to move to the bill, and it's been duly noted your point of order.
Maybe I misunderstood. You misunderstood me. What I was saying was the difference is where Rep. Jefferson mentioned that it's been your customary, since you've been here, that we not add.
No, ma'am, we add simple amendments since I've been here. We don't add very convoluted and long many-word amendments. You have to have a 24-hour rule. As a matter of fact, that's a committee rule, and I'll be glad to talk to you after this. We have to get to the floor.
This is we've been here for a couple of hours now. And
That's correct, and I have the speaker asking me to wrap the meeting up. Thank you. We are right now. Your point of order now is to understand where we are.
Yes, sir. You did not let me finish. As it related to the amendment, when you say short amendments, I don't recall any of those having gone on before, because I've had a short amendment to one before as well, adding one word. And I'm saying we should be consistent here for all members. If you would allow that, then, sir, maybe that's what I need to have a point of order.
Duly noted, and I will consider that next time. And I appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you so much. Representative Brass, you had a question? Okay, let me clear that. All right, hold on. Let me get the board here. Representative Hilferty?
I appreciate Representative Amity's amendment. I don't think it fully covers my understanding of the discussion. So I just wanted to make note of that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Representative Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could staff explain to me about the substitute motion? Because I need a point of order to understand. Usually we have to discuss the substitute motion.
There's no substitute motion. Representative Brass withdrew it. There was.
I didn't hear him withdraw it. Apologies.
Well,
I thought it was still out there. Okay.
No.
Okay, I thought it was still out there. Thank you.
All right, you can add an amendment if you like. Okay. I'm not, y'all are confusing me now, so, yes.
I'd like to add an amendment, since we just added an amendment to Section B, where it says no teacher, school employee, or other presenter, because I think most of us are pretty close to agreeing that we want to teach the standards. Under B, strike out B entirely. Just teach the standards. That's what we just said. Teach the standards.
That's a pretty simple amendment.
Very simple.
Okay, Ms. Lavella, would you explain the amendment, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, the amendment being offered by Vice Chair Jefferson is not reduced to writing. I will explain it in concept. On page 1, we would be deleting lines 12 through 14, and after committee, there would be any conforming amendments to the title.
Okay, thank you very much. Representative Emerson, oh, excuse me, Phelps again?
Yes, sir. So, Representative Jefferson, your bill just puts back into context of what teachers do every day, just teach to the curriculum. Is that what we're back to? That they do already. So now we're making a bill that's already in place, which I did hear this morning, that we should not be in the business of, you know, having a bill that's already in law. But that's what we're doing here. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Phelps. Representative Brass.
Yeah. So I guess my question in reference to that one is line 9 through 11 only talks about kindergarten through 8th grade, whereas 12 through 14 talks about kindergarten through 12th grade.
Can I explain? Mr. Chairman? Okay.
We're on amendment by the committee.
Okay. Two different things.
Mr. Jefferson, you want to explain to Representative Brass?
Your question again, Representative Brass?
Just by reading, I guess my interpretation of the original bill is that lines 9 through 11 refers to kindergarten through 8th grade. As you see with line 11, instruction in kindergarten through 8th grade. And then lines 12 through 14, which is section B, refers to kindergarten through grade 12.
That is correct, Representative Brass, but I think it shows the challenge that we indicated earlier about doing it on the fly, although it was very simple. But this committee has my commitment that if this instrument moves forward, you know, we'll work hard in section A to include 12 as well.
Yeah.
Till 12. Work hard to.
Okay, we have a did that answer your question? I mean, okay, we have an amendment on the board by Representative Jefferson. Let's see, Representative Amity.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to ask the author, with the explanation that was given as to why you brought the bill, removing section B does not seem to take care of some of the scenarios you described. So what are your thoughts on removing section B?
I'll bow to the will of the committee.
And would you prefer that section B remain, but maybe have?
No, just let her finish her question. Oh, okay. Yeah, no one needs to be.
Would you prefer, instead of removing section B, if we would simply add to section B a phrase that says the same as in section A, where it limits section B to classroom discussion?
Well, section B was there at a request of someone in experts in education that felt that no time should a teacher share their own personal life stories or life preferences with students. They're there to listen, to guide, to always be neutral, and to counsel according to what's going on in that student's life, not by their own choices. That's why B was there. And that came from experts in the field.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
That's
you.
all, sir.
Okay. Vice Chairman Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, what we've done with A, it simply states that we're teaching the standards. When we first started, we started way in some area and we've kind of condensed it into a small area. So I don't really see the need for B if we're just wanting to make sure that the standards are being followed.
Thank you. Representative Freiberg, you have a question on the amendment?
do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think B is a significant change to Representative Horton's bill. So I find it interesting that we could put something so significant as a change without having the 24-hour rule. That's very significant, and I don't know how you fix it between here and the floor if you were to take it out. So I'm very concerned about that.
Yes, we're finna wrap this up, but you can respond.
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman. Let's go.
No.
Again, it's not that significant. It was relayed by the author that she wanted to ensure that the standards were being taught. B goes on into a different area as it relates. The purpose of the bill was to ensure that the standards were being taught. So I think just eliminating that is not substantive. It's just, you know, unless you're looking at semantics as far as the title. But if we're ensuring that the standards are being taught, then that's what we're doing.
Absolutely, and the 24-hour rule is for very lengthy, wordy, and researchable amendments, and it is up to the chair. So we do have an amendment. Does anyone object to the amendment that Representative Jefferson has? All right. Representative Tarver has objected. Oh, you have a question?
Why are we rewriting Representative Horton's bill?
Are you asking me the question? Or who you asking?
To answer you, if you want to take it, Mr.
Because
Chairman,
that's the process. We're not rewriting it. We are amending
or
it.
we rewriting it.
Well, that's what amendment does.
No, an amendment amends the present bill. We are rewriting an entire
We're not.
bill.
We're amending the present bill, which is HB 837. So
Well, we can do semantics, but maybe we differ on this particular.
we do,
short
and I
bill.
thank you for your comments. Representative Tarver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that, you know, it's not just about the number of words or the simplicity. Sometimes it's about the complexity. And I think that Amendment number 2 significantly changes the complexity and the bigger picture intent of the motion. I mean, of the bill, kind of in its entirety. It really kind of makes it sort of obsolete in one sense, because item B speaks not only to a lot of the things that we've said today, but I really think that my whole thought process about the deal was that in item B is that no one should be talking about these things at all in a normal classroom during classroom time. Whether it be just me talking about my wife and our weekend experience. That's not a subject matter weekend. I mean, that's not a subject matter for classroom time. So all of those discussions might be okay in a general kind of relational environment outside of the classroom, but not inside the classroom. And I think to take A and B and separate them, and I like the sticking to the content part on A, but I don't want to just throw the whole bill out by taking B out, because I think it applies to the entirety of everyone involved in the classroom. So
thank you.
That's why
so we do have an objection by Representative Tarver. So we will take a roll call vote on the objection. There is a amendment by Representative Jefferson that Representative Tarver has objected to. Madam Secretary, call the roll, please. A yes means you're going to add the amendment. A no means you don't.
Representative Amadei? Votes no. Representative Brass? Yes. Representative Freeman? No. Representative Emerson? No. Representative Freiberg? Yes. Representative Hilferty? Excuse me, Representative Hilferty? Yes. Votes yes. Vice Chairman Jefferson?
Yes.
Votes yes. Representative Owen? No. Representative Phelps? Yes. Representative St. Blanc? No. Representative Tarver? Votes no. You voting?
What is the vote?
5-6.
Vote no.
Representative Chairman Harris votes no. The motion fails 5-7.
Okay. All right, back on the bill. Is your question concerning the bill? All right, Representative Brass, for your motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we voluntarily defer HB 837 till we can come up with a amendment that's good for everybody.
Okay. It's a defer. Okay, we have a motion by Representative Brass to defer HB 837. Just a moment. All right, we had an objection? Okay, we have an objection. So there is a motion on HB 837 to voluntarily defer, and we have an objection. You can make, well, it's a no, it is you can defer. There is a motion. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, the author should make a voluntarily deferral. Volunteered.
I mean, I've been in
Well, she
I've been
can-
in a committee where
Yes, you
where
can.
committee members have involuntarily deferred.
Right, and that means
And
it takes a
voluntarily
2/3 vote to bring it back.
But I'm not
So-
asking. I'm asking to voluntarily defer. I've been in a committee where they involuntary defer and defer.
I think we get our words confused, so just 1 second, okay?
Like you would just vote. That'd be good. Thank you, Tammy. I know you are. Thank you, Tammy.
Excuse me? No. Tomorrow, well, I might be buying y'all breakfast if this keeps up. Okay, I'm gonna allow this motion. We have a motion to voluntarily defer this bill. It's been objected to by Representative Amity. So,
Again, can Representative Brass relay what your intentions regarding the motion?
The motion is to voluntarily defer until the author and Ms. Hilferty can get together on some type of amendment that's good for everybody.
hold on just a second.
Yeah.
Representative Horton, do you want to voluntarily defer your bill to work on it? That's what he's trying to do here.
I do appreciate him. I would prefer you just vote.
Okay,
And thank you, Representative Brass. I appreciate you.
right. We need a substitute motion. Yeah, all right.
My objection to the motion is that if there are still more thoughts on amending the bill, those can be handled between here and the floor, where we have time to bring big or little amendments and discuss them fully.
That's correct. So the substitute motion, if it was presented by anybody, would be to report favorably as amended.
Yes.
Excuse me?
House floor, not to say that they couldn't do whatever amendments we do here on.
There's really one motion you can do, and then voluntarily deferral, which means it takes 2/3 to come back. And that's what staff thought you had said. So,
Well,
and that's
not
why
consistent.
it confused me too.
That's not
So,
consistent with what we've been doing
right.
in other committees, including this one here in the
I
House.
think we misspoke the word, and I'm gonna double check the rules. Okay. All right, so a substitute motion? All right, we have a substitute motion by Representative Amity to report favorably as amended to the House floor. Is there an objection to that? There is? That's the process, is a substitute motion. Because he had a motion to defer, Ms. Phelps, and she,
No, earlier you said I couldn't do a substitute motion.
well, that was because we were on an amendment. I don't remember saying that, but thank you. I don't remember that. It's different with amendments, staff says. So you and I'll get together and we'll read through the rule book. How's that? Okay, we have a motion, a substitute motion on the floor by Representative Amity, which is to report HB 837 favorably as amended to the floor. Madam Secretary, call the roll.
Is there an objection to this?
Is there objection? Excuse me. Is there objection? Yes. Okay. We're doing it all by the book, and you and I will read that rule book together tomorrow. All right. Yeah. Okay. Madam Secretary, call the roll.
Representative Amade votes no. Representative Brass? Oh, I'm sorry. The substitute, okay.
I will say the motion again. The motion is to report HB 837 favorably as amended to the House floor. That is the motion. If you vote yes, it's going to the House floor. If you vote no, it is staying in committee. Okay? Basically, for lack of a better word. So, Madam Secretary, call the roll.
Representative Amade votes yes. Representative Brass votes no. Representative Freeman? No. Representative Freiberg? Excuse me, Representative Emerson? Yes. Representative Freiberg? No. Representative Hilferty? No. Representative Jefferson? No. Representative Owen? Yes. Representative Phelps? No. Representative St. Blanc? No. Representative Tarver? Yes. Representative Harris, the vote is 4-7
Thank you,
against
members.
the motion.
That motion fails to pass.
Thank you.
Thank you.